generation destroys our generation. I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind. Looking for inspiration in my life. Looking for inspiration all the time. Looking for
Check. I think we're there. Got readings on that, so let's. How we doing, everybody? Yeah. Okay. A little bit of technical difficulty there, but I think we got that figured out, I hope. Might check, let everybody know out there. Anybody that's hanging out there, let me know it's coming through on that end. A little bit of a late start on the Spline Design Studios Saturday for waiting through some storms. Yeah, so I think the worst part of the storms, I guess, are over there. So we got a little bit of fallen branches and stuff like that, but nothing incredibly too serious. So yeah. All right, I have no idea what in the world I intended to go over here, but I got a couple things in there. Lady Dad, come on in there. Good afternoon. Yeah, it might be for you. Getting into the evening times here. I'll be doing there, Lady Dad. Welcome on. Welcome on in. Yeah, I've got a couple of things that I wanted to go over here. I got so many things, so many projects-wise going on. It's ridiculous. 3:30. Yep. That's what happens when you're way over on that side of the. Yeah, so you still got daylight over there. We still got some sunlight here, even with the storms that have passed through. But yeah, I think we're out of the thick of it. Just got some lingering showers now, so it's the past isn't so bad, right? Yeah, I guess I've always been considered future boy, so there's that. I know there's at least a couple out there, I guess, as far as that we're looking forward to the stream starting on time as far as earlier there. Hopefully, to get the message out there. I think I've put the message out there in many places that I can think of. Make sure to let everybody know that we are here and up and running. Slight little hiccup on the technicalities with the mic, but am I playing Stream Raiders? You know what? I haven't even considered that anymore. I haven't played it myself as far as at all, and it's just like I don't even know if that stuff is even. I'd have to check into that to make sure that it's still legit. I guess it's lack of better. I have to plead ignorance on it. But I guess the answer to the question like that, I had intended, I guess, of doing it during the stream here. So, but there are the. I guess with that being said, there are the chat games, as well as some channel point redemptions, which will be below the chat. A little red fluid drop, I guess, next to where you type in chat. There's some new sound redemptions for channel points that you might have, as well as, and those are separate from the chatbot units of fluid that you get. But those are still, they should be working. They were working last week, so hopefully they still continue, I guess, to work at this point. Oh, the gambling commands? Yes. So if you want a list of some of the active commands in there, in fact, I'll just go ahead and type this in here, just to give you a clue. There's a few of them. I know it's been a while, so it's understandable. So, that does give all the active commands. So the main ones here, so if you want to check your units of fluids, for example, exclamation point fluids. That's for the bot, obviously. But you get the point there. That should work the same for everybody else in the chat. And let's see. You can administer yourself a shot, and these are on reserve. Keep in mind that you can only administer yourself a shot of fluids every few minutes. That's not something you can just spam and continually keep giving that, because those are a premium thing. So you have the units, the shot that you can administer yourself. Let's see, that one was successful on that one, giving the bot their shot. You can also play slots, exclamation point slots. And it's 10 units of fluid per play, and sometimes you can win something and sometimes you don't. And then there's also exclamation point risk, which just like it sounds there, it's gambling, so it's like you can gain or lose units of fluids, I guess. So you want to be careful with that one, and those you can play pretty much as many times you want. The only thing that is on reserve is the shot, as I was mentioning. And if at any time any of those don't necessarily gain you, I guess, any promise on these units of fluid, you can always scold the bot, exclamation point scold. And this can also be done pretty much at any time. But just be in mind, you might upset the bot there a little bit, and he'll just not give you a darn thing. So, and just like, yep, sometimes he'll realize the error of his ways. It says there, and he'll give you 100 units of fluid, and that's the most you can get from that by scolding the bot. Sometimes he'll oblige and say, okay. Not always, though. Be aware of that. Okay. So yeah, those are the active chat commands, I guess, as far as earning yourself units of fluid. And those units of fluid, as far as in the chat there, do get used for special events on the channel, such things like game giveaways and things like that. So you will need those units of fluids, those precious units of fluids, I guess, to be able to participate in those types of events. So I am considering, as far as the fact that it's already been 3 years, it would have been in April, checking out the, I believe that was a channel point redemption. Super funny. Yeah, so those are available too, and some of those are on a cooldown, so be aware of that. Be aware of that. I forget what it is. I don't have as much control. Having some fun with the channel point sound redemptions there. Yeah, those they are on a cooldown. Like I said, I don't have as much control over the channel point redemptions. They kind of are what they are. I can put what I want into there as far as like what types of redemptions, but as far as how long those last, as far as how many times you can redeem, it's a little bit. I'm still working on that. I think there's some things that I can do, but I haven't quite figured it out. But those are in there for your own entertainment, and in some cases at my displeasure, depending on which one you choose. So yeah, feel free to use any of those. It gives you some flexibility and versatility, I guess, as far as if you want to use your units of fluid in the chat, bot fluids, or if you want to use just the channel point fluids, which are totally separate. You have those at your reserve, like I said. So okay, just trying to get some stuff loaded up here. See what we want to go over. Big on the Fortnite. Yeah, I figured it's a pretty popular type of sound alert, I guess, as far as to be able to redeem there. And there's some other ideas I have for those. So yeah, always a good one, I guess, to be able to put up there. There's a couple of my own favorites that I like in there too, as far as movie clip type sound redemptions, based on a couple of my favorite movies. So there are those too. So I got my favorites. You might have your favorite. You can feel free to choose, I guess, at your leisure, like I mentioned. So let's see. I had to. I don't know, for any of you that may have been here last week, whatever, I had a little bit of difficulty with trying to get the monitors to behave, as far as to play nice, I guess, as far as to put things where I needed to, I guess, as far as be able to show you all my work in progress, I guess, of stuff, and as well as, so I did have some issues with that last week, and I did figure some of that out. That's what happens sometimes when you disconnect and disable what have you, I guess, as far as different monitors based on desktop setup on your Windows platform, and it's like it happens sometimes. So I think I've worked through it, and it's we're better for it. So I figure, if nothing else, what I would do is at least go over some of the projects, and I've tweeted some of these out, and put them in a Discord and tweeted them out and such on the social medias. So some of you may necessarily be aware of some of these projects that are going on that I'm going to show what I've been working on, but it gives you a little bit more in depth, I guess, as far as what's going on with it. Most of the stuff that I've been working on lately has been for Farming Simulator 19 by Giant Software. So this is a folder, I guess, of a lot of stuff that I have worked on and am working on and such, and I figure I'd just give a run through, I guess, as far as like the latest thing that I've been working on is a bottle soda vending machine. And I've divulged myself, I guess, as far as in both the realms of Blender as well as my primary 3D modeling application of choice, which is 3ds Max. This is what we're all about here on Spline Design Studios Saturdays, is being creative. And however way you find, I guess, as far as to be creative, mine happens to be getting in the realm, getting in the virtual world, I guess, of 3D modeling. And whatever yours might have to be, if some of this doesn't necessarily spark your creative interest there, that's what it's all about here. So hopefully that could I don't 100% recommend or say that it's like you need to do the same thing that I'm doing. Find whatever it is, I guess, that you like to do, and just expand on it. Just if anything, these are meant to be, I guess, it's part of a inspirational type of thing, I guess, as far as ambition. So this is I'm going to open up the model as far as the Giants editor, as far as the model that I have gotten exported out and completed. I've also inserted this particular model into a more robust model, and I'll get into that here in a second. But just to kind of show you the whole process, I guess, of getting these things made up and whatever. Let's go into here, one of my full event. There we go. So this is the vending machine that I did here, and it is to scale for Giants, I guess, at least anyway. Based on their measurements. So it may necessarily look kind of small, but again, I will show this. I might even go into the game itself just to kind of show that I do have this already set into a placeable, what they consider to be it's a placeables format for items that you can buy in the store in Farming Simulator 19, directly. So yeah, I'm gonna go through that whole process as far as from start to finish. This is what the whole creation process, getting it to fruition and getting it into the game and being actually be usable, functional. So yeah, these are all the individual parts for the machine. So you got the main body, all the galvanized parts, and I can put different materials. This is the thing that I really like about the material properties, I guess, as far as being able to apply it to an object based on Giants software, particularly Farming Simulator 19, like I said, and being able to not even use textures really. You're just using material. I'm gonna pop this out here, and I know I showed this last week, but this is something I feel is just super neat about how this is all designed over here. So in these materials here, you can apply its own material, and Giant software has their own shaders that you can apply to this in the form of a color mask. In this particular one, it's got 8 different color masks that you can use for any given piece in this model. And primarily, I tend to just use the color matte 0 to be able to control what's going on with this. So for this galvanized piece here that I have, the bottle holders, I'm sorry, they're next to black. They're a blackish color, and this 32 is a 4th value as far as to say, do you want it to look like plastic, metal? I forget what the 32 actually stands for. There's actually a list. Let me bring this up real quick. Going to the Rock Nation disc quick, and I go by a material sheet just to kind of give you a clue as far as what's going on with that. So in my farm sim editing stuff, some people that are on the Rock Nation Discord would necessarily have access to this if you have requested the role. This is for anybody that wants to get into this type of thing. I make these areas available to you, so it's like if you do want to have that option, feel free to let me know, and I will set it up that way. So there's a bunch of stuff I got in here that are related to editing different aspects of Farming Simulator 19. Or material sheet. Yeah, this is the material sheet right here. So this is a deal that I go by, and if I can pull this up here, try it this way. Let's put this in a new window. Give me a second. Yeah, and we'll blow it up over here. So we'll just make it a little bit bigger here. So with this material sheet, all these different numbers, they represent a different material. So be it the fact that I've got that 32. Oh, interesting. It doesn't go all the way up to 30. This one. That's the screenshot for it. So let me. Wait a minute. That's the screenshot for it. It should have been. Let's open up. I think it will. I want to open up with this. Hopefully this will work. I think. Did that come up? I think it does. Now it's not showing the actual materials here. This one only goes up to 29%. It's not the one I usually go by. So these numbers, as you can see here, some of them are leather, fabric, so on and so forth. 32, for some reason, this is cut off. I'm not sure why. But the 32 is a particular material, and that's why I've got that set in here based on this number. Not 100% sure what I did with my other sheet there, I guess, as far as I go over that. But this is what all these different numbers, so depending on which number you put in here, is going to give you a different look to that material and based on a color. So whatever color you applied, if you want to make it look like dirt, wood, leather, fabric, copper, you know, like glass or whatever, you can apply that number to it. So why that number's not in there? I might have gotten this number off of the Giants Developer Network. I think they've updated that material sheet, and I just haven't done that on my end yet. So, but yeah, there's plenty of information on the Giants Developer Network, which is another site based on through the Giants Network, obviously. And they give you a lot of that information to be able to apply these to, and this works for equipment as well as things like static things like this vending machine. So it doesn't matter if it's equipment that you can actually ride in, use it on the field, for farming or just these types of things. I tend to focus on this one a little bit. There's the heck yeah. Let's see you do me using the heck yeah. That's another command that's out there. Yeah, they did testing all those out there. We had a couple of people last week as far as testing out to make sure all those worked as well. That's just going to give you a little bit of idea. So glass, this one does not have a shader on it. Part of the thing, I kind of played around with this. I know there's the glass material that I was mentioning earlier, but I've found to use the alpha blending, and if you create the texture with alpha in it, it creates a better effect in my opinion. So the fact that there's that much versatility in these types of things is kind of nice. So whether or not you want to use the built-in shader and use a glass material and color it or not to make it look like glass, you can do it that way. I decided to go this way with the glass on this particular item, and it turns out pretty nicely, in my opinion. So I got different parts of the cola sign. So this is the one that has, and again, there's no shader, it's just a logo texture. And again, it has the alpha channel on it to mask out the areas that I don't need to have in the sign. That's using alpha in that again. And then there's just like border stuff for the sign. And these do use the color mask to apply different materials to it, give it a different look. Yeah, just to kind of give it once over. So all these different individual parts that I can manipulate and make it a different color. So like on the main body, if I wanted to, instead of making it red, I can make it a different color. So these are all based on red, green, blue as far as RGB, and then your material value type of what you want it to look like, metal, paint, and so on. So if I want to make this look, say, more green, let's change this up a little bit. You can see it's already changed. So that went back to like a black 0 value. And then if I want to make it, say, look more green, apply it this way. And now it looks more green. So that's how it'll look if I was to spit this out, save this as a new i3D, and use it wherever I want. It'll have this appearance to it. Let me put a light into the scene here. To kind of give you what the sheen and all that looks like on it. But you can see I've put my own digital signature on the model. I'm just to kind of put, just kind of like any artist would do, I guess, as far as to any creation that they would do. Your signature on it, and that's the way I've done it. That's the way I have been doing it lately on a lot of modeling creations. What I have noticed in this particular model, and I haven't 100% figured out yet why, it tends to put this little dent in this area here, and like I said, I don't 100% know why. I might be looking into that either in 3ds Max or Blender to see what's going on with that. It seems to only do it once I import it into Giants Editor here, as well as get it into the game. It does necessarily show. There were some other areas that I did clean up that were doing the same type of thing, and they seem to be better, but yeah, so that's something I'm still kind of working out the details, just for why does it do that. So let's put this back to color I had it. It's not like I really need to save this, but yeah, you can apply all different RGB values to this. Add some more different colors. You can make it any color you want. I tended to go with this 0.4 on the red, because it tends to make it more of that vintage Coca-Cola color, to make it purple. That's with red and blue, or as a half. And these values go from 0 to 1. So 0 means black, 1 means white. So anything between 0 and 1 is going to give you a certain level of color based on RGB values. That back to 0, so we'll put that back like that. And yeah, just to see the sheen on it. It looks even better in the game. I've tested in the game. I have put some examples of this in the Discord. And yeah, so you can see it's got that sheen. Now this look of the main body here has a painted metal. So depending on which direction the light is coming from, what direction the light is coming from, you can see how that changes. So I can get some idea of what it's going to look like in game by just applying some light values against Giants Editor. It does give me some blue. It's like if I don't like the look of it, I can try a different material. Like I said, this one is painted metal. If I go down to the shader, instead of using 32 on this, I can use, say, like 6. That gives me a different look. It's kind of more dull, matte finish instead of that shiny sheen. I can do 0, which I think is just a little bit duller. So I think of all the different ones that I've tried before. 11, fabric. I'm going by memory here. So yeah, so this is like a fabric. It's like a carpet. Got a carpet look to it. Yeah, so there's many, and that's based on that material sheet like I was showing earlier. So I'll put it back to 32. This is more of a glossy painted metal, I think is based on the updated material sheet from the Giants Developer Network. So yeah, that's what's going on with that. So that is the vending machine here. That's one piece that I've worked on here. I've put my signature on that one. I got a cash register, and it's based on a vintage cash register as far as like a national register type of thing. That was my inspiration for this, was Coca-Cola, the old vending machines like this. So that's this probably took me, and I've done this, you know, in the process of getting the repaired PC back. It probably took me maybe a couple weeks, I guess, to do that. Some of the shapes are pretty easy, I guess, to make. Once you get the flow going there, as most of you've probably seen as darts during the streams there, it goes pretty quickly. And then not having to come up with a texture as far as the ambient occlusion for shading and all that stuff, because it's all built into FarmSim itself based on their shader, and applying those materials to it. You don't have all that busy work, I guess, as far as creating a texture for all this stuff. You can just apply those different textures, just like I was showing. Colors and such for the materials, built-in materials. So the other thing I'll show, that being done, I don't need to save this, I've already done that. Now I want to open up the cash register I've been working on. Still in my projects folder here. Man, there's so many things I could probably actually show. I got a step van or box truck that can be used for delivery vehicle, you know, as far as the UPS trucks and stuff like that. I've got that in progress. That's not finished yet. Let's see, cash register. Let's open this bad boy. All these I do have either like also into scale. Let's zoom in on this. I've already got most of these all done, applied. Let's put some light into this. Light. Yeah, there we go. So, like I said, this one's based kind of like on the old style National Register type of deal. I even put the logo for it on here. So I've gone so far, I guess, to put the actual numbers to show here. This doesn't animate anything yet. At least not of yet. Right now it's just a static object. But again, this is using the same process as the soda bottle vending machine. It's all using just that UDIM system, that materials database that's already built into FarmSim. It's pretty cool. How we doing there, Apache? Come on in. Or should I say alpaca? Just spamming those alpaca emotes, I guess, over in DC's channel. How we doing there? Come on in. Yeah, running a little bit, the stream a little bit later than normally do at 5 p.m. Eastern, because we had some storms here, so it might actually work out to the advantage here. Maybe there's more in prime time, I guess is the first name. Yeah, I'm just kind of loosely going over some of the projects, smaller projects that I've been working on, both in 3ds Max as well as Blender, and taking advantage of the material database that's available in FarmSim using, you know, the UDIM and all that. Not too bad. I know you were in Reinhardt's stream there last night. I was kind of hanging out there a little bit too. We've given him heck, I guess, as far as in SnowRunner. That was funny. That was super funny. Not that I don't want to get any bad press, I guess, as far as that, but that was a good time. Ended up finishing it off, I guess, with doing some Farm Simulator 19 over on No Man's Land, I believe it was. That's a really cool map. Yeah, for taking advantage of the whole placeable system that Farm Simulator 19 has, it's pretty cool. There you go, Lady Death. That horse fart, that sound redemption there is courtesy, good friend of mine. He's another streamer that streams mostly during the day, by the name of John Von Zombie. Very, very cool cat. You know, very cool. He actually donated that to stream there. He actually came up with that noise playing one of his games during one of his streams, and I'd asked him if I could borrow that as a sound effect. He's just like, okay. So I think he's got it on his own channel there too. But yeah, it's kind of cool being able to create, I guess, even as you're streaming. You know, it's just like a little bit of story, I guess, behind that sound. I can't even remember which game it was he was playing. But he was like frustrated with the game, and he was upset. He was just like, "Oh, for crying out loud!" And then he just happened to make that noise, and it had to be clip it. I mean, why would you not clip it? 2/3 is good. Oh yeah, there you go. 2 out of 3. So you got 75 units out of the shot. Nothing on slots, and your risk's pretty good. Yeah, 2 out of 3, not bad. Like how DC took Joe's sheep stream. Yeah, just like that. Exactly. Now, funny story is, Joe actually did that on purpose. Because he was getting tired. I shouldn't say this, but he wanted something. He kept hearing it because everybody kept doing the DC's like primary scream. The sheep scream. And I don't know, I think Joe just got tired of it. And he's just like, I'll show you. He went and did it. Strained the hell out of his throat. So there's a story behind that one too. It's pretty cool that some of these streamer-based sound clips, I guess, that come to be. I guess as far as some of them are actually done and have a story behind them. I guess as far as why and when they were done. It's kind of comical. But yeah. So onto the cash register here. Same construction basically as the vending machine. Oh, were you in that one too? Yeah, see, if you were there, it was definitely even much more of an experience there, because you can just tell he must have really been saving himself up, I guess, to do that, because he went all out. Joe went all out on that thing. And it's It's hilarious. It's like it's a forever time capsule. People get a kick out, I guess, of using that over at Ustream. Yeah, this has the same construction as far as broke down into the individual parts as the soda vending machine is. It's got the main housing. It got my digital signature. My avatar is a signature on it. Like any artist would do, is you want to put your signature on it. That's my digital way of doing that. Got the buttons have a different material as far as using that material database that the Giants has. The handle. There's really the only thing that has a texture onto this is the I gotta remember here, the logo and the numbers. So the numbers have just a texture, simple texture, and the logo has that was the inspiration for this old antique-ish national red. That's on the front side here. Everything else just has the UDIM as far as the material database. So some pieces have like a chromey look to it. Some have like a painted metal. The base has like a painted plastic wood. No, that's the national. So yeah, that's the only two textures that I have in this whole model. Is just the numbers, a simple texture, and this one here turned out actually pretty darn good. Pretty. I'm happy with this one. In comparison to the vending machine, soda vending machine that I was showing earlier, has a little dent in it for some reason. Might need a tweak on that. What project do you want to do next? I mean, that's always the tough thing. As I was mentioning earlier, there Apache is just there's so many that I got going on here. Just in my folder here, this is just one. I've got the model both in 3ds Max as well as Blender. Just to kind of go back and forth between. There's some functions that 3ds Max has that Blender just doesn't have, and vice versa. So I end up going back and forth. But at the end of the day, to get all the materials that Giants has, the only way to take advantage of that is Blender. They have the plugin for Blender to be able to do that. So that's what I tend to have to use for that. But yeah, only two textures for the cash registers. Go back to that. So yeah, this is a list of all the different machines and things that I've built for Farming Simulator 19. My little projects for it. This is just a small chunk of it. These are still actively in progress. Probably one of the other things, the other ones, I'm going to focus on this gas station that I'm working on here. These are what this cash register and the vending machine go to. And I've tweeted out and put, some previews, I guess, of the whole process of that. And I think that turned out pretty well. I've got it in game. I don't have a picture of that in here. I do have it in the Rock Nation Discord, though. Let's go back over there and take a look. I put those in the gameplay for Farm Sim 19. What should be here? Tweeted those out not too long ago. I also put the bonnet that I did on this particular sprayer for Farming Sim. This is in game as far as it being all completed. And that was something I did for the Apache, as I'm sure you're pretty familiar with, and started off with a already created model and just made it into something else. I had to put this decal on it. We had to remodel the bonnet on this here to accommodate that new decal and such. So yeah. But yeah, it is tough to figure what you want to do. See, like the way I've been doing, I go off in tangents. Like as I'm playing the game, it'd be like, man, it'd be nice to have this. And it's like, then I'll initially just go out there and look to see if there's anything out there by going to the official mod hub or checking some of the other favorite sites. And if I don't find it, I usually just start making it. And some of these other things that I've done, like Apache, you had come to me, you had simply asked, to see how difficult it would be, and it wasn't that hard, really. It did have some issues with the initial model, as far as the base model, that I was able to correct on top of being able to get it to that. And this is all using that UDIM system as well. As far as it is a color changeable sprayer. You can change it to whatever color you want, or just leave it the way it is. this is the way it'll spawn in the store. If you want to leave it that way, you can do that. Or you can change the rim color and all that stuff. And that's what I've taken advantage of with that. Didn't have that initially as far as based on it being a John Deere. I think it was a 4023. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. That's why I built that trailer, because there wasn't one for... Right. It's the same idea, right? If there's nothing out there that you're looking for specifically, it's like, how can I make it do that? And that was the same thing. I think I elaborated on those Snyder tanks that you were applying to that step deck, for example. It's like, okay, how can I make this better so that I don't have to lift it up by hand, because that's kind of not realistic, you know? So it's like, you know, so just expanding on that, you know, that's the whole idea, I guess, as far as these streams that I do here on Saturday, Spline Design Studios Saturday, is to be creative. It's just, what can I do to make it that much better? Or if there's something that's not available, how can I make this available? That type of thing. So, and it turns out usually works out for the best. I knew they exist in IRL and wanted, yeah, and that's another thing. If it's something that is, you know, out there IRL, it's like, I want that in the game, you know, and it's fair. Like, one of the latest things that's come out for Farm Sim 19 that was done by Gilbertson Modding, I want to say, and I think it's like a sister modding company, I want to say, of Custom Modding. I could be wrong on that, but they did that Spudnik pack, you know, as far as the potato pack, you know, as far as the Spudnik. It's like, we know what's out there in reality, but there was, for the longest time there, we hadn't had anything tangible, I guess, to be able to put in the game. And that modding group has put that together. That's the same type of mindset I have. You know, if I had thought of that, I guess, as far as like, I would have probably done that myself too. But the fact that somebody else has done that, I'm not one to necessarily like to step on what other modders are doing. And so if I know if there's something actively being worked on, I'm just like, okay, cool. That's one less thing I got to do. Those attachers for the tank really added to it. Yeah. And granted, that type of attacher might not be all that realistic as far as in reality, as far as to have that, but you need something to be able to, you know, lift those things up there. You could have probably, you know, as far as in reality, just use a wheel loader and use the pallet forks to be able to lift it up. That's kind of a pain in the butt. So to make it a little bit simpler and take advantage of the mechanics that already exist in the game, you know, why not try and use that? And I don't think it's, it could probably definitely, as far as the way I've got that attacher onto it, it could be tweaked on to make it look, you know, something fabricated, I guess, to those tanks a little better. Because all I did, honestly, was just to take off the forks from that attacher from a wheel loader so that it could be infused, I guess, onto those tanks. And it was kind of a cheesy way, I guess, initially to do it, but it could definitely probably be fun. It's not something that wouldn't necessarily try to be done, I guess, by a farmer in reality. There probably are some out there for sure. But yeah, I also tweeted, out, I guess, as far as the look of the gas station. But these elements that I'm showing here, I guess, as far as the cola vending machine and the cash register in its element, this is in the game. This is an in-game screenshot of that in its element. And you can see the lighting, as far as the natural lighting and shading and whatever that's in the game. And like I said, this isn't interactive. It's just for looks, you know, as far as it's, you know, you can come into this office here, I guess, for this gas station, and there it is. Yeah. So this is how it looks with the lights on. Turned out pretty good, and this was based on, you know, just the concept of like retro neon lighting. There was actually a model that was on another site that was created, and it's just like, I just wanted to be able to improve on it, you know, to make it look better. It just the initial construct of it is like, I think I can do better than that, and that was my whole thought process. So I built that basically from the ground up. And if you look at the basic construct of it, I've got the preliminary. This is without any textures or any really colors. It's just, you know, placeholder colors. You can kind of get the idea of where I went with this, and what it's obviously resulted into. So there's a lot going in. This probably took me, once I got the repaired PC back, and I even worked on this while the PC was kind of still in limbo. I was using the CAD department over at the university to which I'm alumni, which is always nice, and I took advantage of that as far as just to you know, keep my skills sharp, not just lay them to waste. You know, it's so this is at this stage here. I was using CAD lab over at yeah, the university there. So there's some story, I guess, behind this whole process here. So like I got the side by side as far as it finished. Is where I started from, and I think it turned out pretty good, honestly. This is a whole nother process that you can apply to a model based on the Giant's properties, you know, Giant software properties, as far as being able to paint these different parts to glow a particular color. That involves as far as what's called vertex painting. So you take your static piece and you have to paint that whatever color that you want it to glow based on a light state switch that you apply based on the Giant's shaders, right? So that was something else that I've been getting into. I'm still tweaking and honing it, I guess, on that that whole process there. I've done the same type of thing, I guess, previously, I guess, with a mercury light. You might have saw that briefly, I guess, in my list of things here. I've got 3 different levels now. So far, I've got an initial mercury light. I guess I only got the 2 of them in here for now, but this is the latest one that I have. To be able to open this without it tapping itself. So you can kind of get the idea of how this idea with vertex painting works. That's the cash register. I'm gonna go to that. Right. But just a lot of these little things add up to, you know, many things, you know, in the grand scheme of it. So it may not seem like a lot. You know, it's like, okay, that's just a simple light, but you know, when you add a lot, you know, when you encompass this, I guess, with other pieces, it makes it full. You know, it makes it in that. So, what about those big bag hooks? One on top. Oh, yeah. So that's another way you could do it. Yeah, that could definitely be possible. I'd have to really look into that to see how, as far as that would work. But yeah, the big bag hooks on top of it to make like a. You'd almost have to have like a crane. I'm not sure the whole logistics of that. That might be a little bit different. That to me, just applying that wheel loader attached to it is the simplest. Not that idea, as far as isn't too far-fetched there, but that was the first initial thing. So yeah, this light here uses the same thing as far as vertex painting. So this whole part right here that's glowing, that is based on vertex painting. So what you would do, just to kind of give a closer look at this, you would take, get to the piece here. So the actual shape for it, which would be this. Gotta refresh my own memory here. Metal. See, and then with this one here, I didn't take advantage of that, and that's just something I've been playing around with. So this one doesn't use the vehicle shader as far as those different materials. The material database that's in the sim itself. All I did was add the gloss, or a version of the gloss, and then just made it, you know, like a metal. Yeah, so that was a little bit different. The glass, I think this one has that. Got the shader on it. Let me see. I don't remember how I did this. But this one this might be just the emissive on it. I think that's all I did that one. Yeah, so this one, this is not the version. I'm gonna have to look for that one. But anyway, this part that's glowing, that would be based on light control. Right, so put it on. That's the bulb itself. Where is the doggone? Oh, here we go. Plastic lit. Here it is. This is what I was looking for. And then the bulb. And this is using the shaders. This is what I was getting at. So let's pull this back over. This is what uses the static light property and based on light control. So if you go down to light control right now, I got it set to 50. That's why it's at that intensity. And what you set it in here doesn't necessarily control as far as how bright it's going to be in the game. That's all controlled by XML. This at least gives you an idea of what a particular brightness it would be if you were to set the XML, I guess, to that particular intensity. But I can turn this down. And there's two parts of it. There's a bulb lit and a plastic lit. So picture, if you will, in the game, this is going to have a different intensity than the plastic and the bulb. So they're two different intensities. So in here, it's going to look a little bit different than it would in game. So let's turn these both down. So this one I got set to 15, which is the plastic itself. Let's turn that down. See, now that's at 0. And you kind of get the idea now, I guess, as far as how much I can control that. And then the bulb. Is it not turning that back up? Oh, they put it back to. Sometimes it'll do that. There it is. So that's putting it back to where I had it. And again, like I said, as far as what you set it in here isn't going to dictate as far as what it looks like in the game. As far as when you place this down, this just gives you an idea of what you can set that intensity to in the XML. I want it to be this bright intensity. In fact, I can go into that real quick. I'm covering a lot of stuff here, but it's things that I'm sharing as far as like what I've come to learn. So if there's something that I'm mentioning and you would like more information on it, please feel free to let me know. Yeah. Feel free to let me know and I'll elaborate. But there's so many different things here. So this is the XML for this particular light. And what it has is... Oh, okay, so this one doesn't have it. Take that back. So this one here does not have that property for intensity. It's just letting it know as far as on that particular node or where that's lit. It's saying during the day I don't want it to show, and during the night I do. That's just a simple one, but you can apply intensities to this based on it. I haven't done that here. So what I did in here as far as playing around with it is I just controlled that via. Yeah, so I kind of. Going back to what I said, so I am controlling it through here instead of the XML, but you can apply values into this, I guess, to control the intensity here. I just taken the approach, so there's no wrong way to do it. That's one of two ways you can do it. This is something I played around with, I guess, as far as with that. So that's just the simple XML. All it does is it just calls the i3D for that entire model as one chunk, all those individual parts. And you can place this down, and when it's during the day, it won't glow, and at night it will, and it actually casts light too, because it has. That's probably another fair mention. So even though you get this glow, that's all that is just the glow. It doesn't actually cast light. So in order for it to cast light, you actually have to apply a physical light. You have to apply a physical light. Is this? And let me turn on. Lights. So this shows you what the casted light would look like. This is the glow area. Based on this real light, and it's a point light. This is the glow. So this is how much area would necessarily be lit based on the intensity of the light. And then you would also have to set the color of that light based on this real light, this little light bulb. So you got your glowing parts that have the vertex paint to it, and you also have the real light that actually casts a light, that actually puts that, and that also is controlled by this on create. There's a couple of different ones out here, but this is the one I tend to use. It's a script callback that says I want this light to actually be controlled and then change the environment, as far as in wherever it gets whatever environment on the map within the game it actually tends to control. Or inhabit, if you will. There's a little bit on that. Alright. And again, as I said, if there's anything in particular that you'd like more information on, feel free to let me know and I will elaborate. I'm skimming over a lot of stuff just to kind of give everybody a clue, I guess, as far as some of the things I've been working on. It's a lot. I mean, and this is a small chunk of things that I've been playing around with, and this goes all the way back to. For anybody that is aware, as far as on the official Mod Hub, the cutter adapter pack. Basically what that is, for anybody that doesn't know, what have you been doing, number one. This cutter adapter allows you to apply an adapter to either telehandler or wheel loader to be able to manipulate combine headers, be it grain headers or corn cutters or whatever. without needing a combine, you know, the actual harvester itself, to be able to put it on and off the ground or the shelf or wherever you want to put it. So you don't. So if you got a combine out in the field and you got to move a header, you can use this cutter adapter and apply it to a wheel loader or a telehandler. And I've got that on the official mod hub. It's been out there, I guess, quite a while since Farm Sim basically came out a few months after that. And I got that whole process here, I guess, as far as all the different levels of construction, I guess, for that. And right down to, let's open this one up here. So this one's the telehandler version. I did try a front loader, and that wasn't all that successful as far as to manipulate it with a front loader, even with the heaviest weight. So that was kind of put that on the back burner. So what it does, what the pack does include on the official mod hub is for a wheel loader and a telehandler. Those are the most effective. And when I did submit that to Giants, as far as with all three options, they had kindly mentioned to me, as far as the front loader deal wasn't going to cut it. You know, depending on which tractor you did, you would have to have a lot heavier weight and so on. And now that I know this, it's like it makes more sense what I would have had to have done differently, I guess, as far as to do it. So I more or less settled, I guess, for just having the two options instead of all three, and they were willing to accept that. So okay, let's go to cutter adapter, and I'll just bring this up here. So for anybody that doesn't know, it's kind of a little shameless plug, I guess, for myself, I guess, as far as things that I have done and submitted to the official mod hub for Giant software. This is the wheel. So this is what it looks like, and this is kind of, I guess, part of the reason I do this is because it kind of hits on the same idea as far as taking, you know, something that's already in the game and applying it to something else. So this is the attacher for the wheel loader. So this does not have, look at this, it doesn't have the actual cutter onto it. So this is the first step to getting the cutter on. I was hoping maybe I did. Second here. Let me see if I do have that. I want to show the finished product. So that was the initial step there. I'm gonna have to unpack. So this is what happened. So what Giants does when you initially release it, and they post it and all that good stuff, they will update it based on the mod desk version and so on. So this is why I've done it this way. So I have my initial one that they accepted and released back in end of June of 19. Like I said, it was a few months after the game came out. It's one of those things that we were talking about, as far as like, it's something that's not in the game. I know it's out there in reality. It's just like, but we need to have this. So it's just a simple tool, but it's a pretty useful tool. So here's the finished thing. This is what's available on the official mod hub, based on the wheel loader and telehandler. That's the adapter T and adapter W. Front loader had to be scrapped. Let's open this one up. This is the finished product. So you saw what I started with, and then I had to basically mold out the adapter that's on a combine, you know, as far as a combine harvester. Take that chunk off the front end where the cutter attaches to it, and apply that to both those attachers for the telehandler. And why these things aren't loading. Alright, so I'm going to point that to the proper location. And this one, this is the latest one that's out there, like I said. This is the wheel loader application. So that's how this looks, and it has, put some light to it. There we go. So this is what it looks like, and this is in its dirty, and the wear, all the wear and the dirt on it. That's what that looks like. I'm going to turn these lights off. Don't need that. I was showing that for that other light. So to give you an idea, like, I can control this. This amongst the many things that you can control here in Giants Editor. I can go into the shader for this and turn off the dirt and the wear. And this is what it looks like when you buy it in the store. Why why you're not cooperating. It's pretty dark, I guess. Let's do it from this level. I know it's dark, but good grief. Oh. Yeah, so you can get a little bit of the sheen there. It's a pretty dark tool, so kind of get the idea here. So what it has is the actual piece that you would see on a combine harvester on the front of the attacher, in this case a wheel loader, and then it allows you to manipulate that cutter header, I guess, with the wheel loader instead of the whole combine. So useful tools. That's something that I have released, I guess, on the. So that's something else that I've worked on. So it goes all the way back to, like I said, the end of June of when the game first came out up until now. It's just all these little projects, things that I hope are useful to some people. All right, so let's close that. Okay, so now I still have the cash register open. So I've shown the vending machine. You know, there's two elements, the vending machine and the cash register, and I've shown that construction and how it's put together in its element. But I also have the model for the gas station that has them in there. And like I said, these pieces are not interactable in themselves, I guess, as far as just being able to go inside of the gas station office. That's about it. But it gives you a little bit more something you can do when you go to the gas station. You want to go inside and, you know, pay for your gas and all that stuff. It's kind of like, ooh, where's my gas station? Oh, I'll wait here for a second. Oh, actually, yeah. So this is going back, I guess, to last week. I don't really have anything here that's open, but I have the Blender file and all that good stuff, I guess, for the sprayer. You know, as far as based on last week's project that we had there. Wow, I done lost myself. Draglight. Hello, I'm out of brain. Oh, old gas station. I was like, I thought it was up in. Okay. I've relabeled this so many times. That's the thing. I lose myself. So the fact that, you know, as I started building it, I called it vintage. I called it old, classic. I kind of kept reinventing, I guess, as far as what I wanted to call this thing as I did it. And it's like, I think I'm going to settle with just old gas station. I think at the end of the day, this is the construct of the whole thing with the vending machine and the cash register applied. And again, I've got some light control stuff in here based on vertex painting of parts. Same thing as I did with the mercury bulb. I think in here, I'm going to look at this here. I think this is... I have to refresh my memory. I go to old gas station here. Go into XML. And if you go to the data lighting here... Yeah, see, this is where I've got intensities. So intensities, this is the difference between what I was showing on the mercury light. Uh-oh, I'm crashing. Stream burped there a little bit. Kind of let everybody know. Give it a second. But anyway, what this shows in here, as I was showing with the mercury light, you get to add how much intensity you want to have when it is actually showing. So 0 means the most intense, or less intensity, and 1 is the most intensity. So whatever you have the intensity set at in Giants Editor, based on those values I was showing previously, this is how you control. Do I want that to be at half? No, so if I want to put this at half strength, I can put this at a 0.5. This one, in this case, I just went, yeah, go ahead and show it at the intensity I have set in G or not. So that's the difference between those. So again, whatever intensity you would set that to, if it's a 50 on the light control part of it, you would say I want that to show it at full intensity of what I've got it set in GE based on this, for example. That's what the 1 would say, put it at full strength. If I wanted to go half strength, if I tested it in a game it's too strong, I can either adjust it in GE itself or just put this at a 0.5. And that will work. Yeah, that shows the construct of this here to take advantage of, there's a opening door to be able to walk into the store, some clearing areas, as well as some seasons. So it says seasons ready, as far as if you were to apply this during a gameplay of seasons. If it snowed around the areas, it would mask the areas as far as that would involve, I guess, where that this building is sitting. That's what entails, I guess, with being considered seasons ready. Yeah, there's the construct of that. And there's a buying station because you can buy, the way I've got this trigger set up, you can get gas for your equipment or water. So if you need water to, say, for your animals, you can get it from there too. And the water is free, but the gas does cost 0.7, so it's not at full price, I guess, as far as based on the game's economy. And I don't 100% remember as far as how much it is per liter by default, but in my testing here, I liked it to be less than full price, this particular gas station. That's why I've got that set that way. So that kind of glances over just as far as ideas behind that. Again, if I'm going too fast, or if there's something that does kind of strike your interest as far as like to want to know more information about it, how would you go about that? Don't hesitate to ask. I mean, that's kind of why I do these streams, just to kind of give people insight, I guess, on things, and fill them in, I guess, as far as like, you know, I want it. If you had an idea, I guess, for something and weren't sure quite how to do it, there might be something that I'm mentioning in here that might say like, oh yeah, that might help what I'm trying to do. So hopefully it will for you. Okay, so I can control the lighting in this thing here. I was going to get to that just to kind of show how this one works. So I got this one here, does have light control on it. Pull this up. Keep pulling this back in and out. And I'll do that. I'll find myself doing that even as I do this, and you know, as I'm building stuff, I'll pull these windows in and out of here to see. So I'm doing much the same as I would even without streaming this. So so this has light control on it. It should. Maybe this is not. Okay, one of these does. Just gotta find it. And I think it's this one, right? This is the piece that has light control. Don't snap it there. So yeah, with the light control, I got this one set to 30. So I got the only reason why it doesn't show like this, I can turn the visibility of that off there. That doesn't mean it won't show, right? If I turn the visibility for that off in Giants Editor, just to give me a bit. So again, you don't have to have whatever you've got in Giants Editor, because you can control a lot of these types of functions in the XML. So even the fact that I've got this the visibility turned off doesn't mean it's not going to show. So that's a lot of things. Again, you can control that in the XML. Just because the visibility is off here doesn't mean it won't show. I guess that's important. Okay. But I can control this visibility on the light control of this. So right now I've got it at a strength of 30. Now if you remember the mercury light, I had it at a 50. But you can see the intensity. If I were to put this at a 50, that's how bright it would be. Okay, and that's a 1 strength based on the intensity in the XML, as I was showing you earlier. Put it back at 30. I kind of liked that level. Sometimes it'll do that. You know, it can be kind of buggy and sometimes like that. I just have to go back into it and plug it in there. And these are some, that's normal. That's just Giants being Giants editor. Sometimes you just have to go back in there, so it would just apply to 3, so the intensity was really low. This is what I've gone with on the intensity for that. And then there's also intensity on this piece. Turn the visibility on for that. Scoot this over here. So that's what that lit, and that's also at a 30. And again, I can control that much the same way. Oops. Hello. So, see how it does that? It's putting it at a 3 for some reason. Son of a gun, anyway. Come on now. Work with me, Smalls. Alright, anyway, so that was... Wait a minute. What piece do I got? This one here is highlighted. It's hard to tell sometimes. And that was at as 3. Put that back to a 30. And And I think what's happening here is because I've got the same material name applied to both, which is a static gas, and also on this one, that's why it's controlling both of them. So that it depends on what you name your materials will determine whether or not, if you change it for one, it'll do it for anyone that has the same material name. That's basically what's happening. But as I change it for one, it's changing it for both. But you can definitely see the differences between. Don't snap that there. See, when it turns blue like that, that's where it'll snap that window, and I don't want that right there. You can see I've applied a different vertex painting to this part in comparison to this part. This is more like a yellowish green, and this is more like a pinkish red. And that's all in how you vertex paint the part. Right? That's what the difference of that is. We'll go ahead and I don't even have to save this. That back over there. But this is the whole construct of the entire deal. And I broke it down into decor, which includes these different pieces for like the vending machine and the cash register bottom. These are all just static items. It's nothing you can interact with to put money into it or get anything out of it, stuff like that. But you can see all the stuff I put on the shelves, but the cash register itself, to kind of make it really homey. Got these individual cast pumps, and this is what started the whole thing for creating this vintage classic thing here. I found these. I don't take credit for creating these. These were already created via another 3D modeling site. And I was like, those are cool. So I just kind of elaborated on it from there. There was a gas station to accommodate these pumps to go with it. I didn't like how it looked. I kind of did my own. And this is what I came up with. So it does have lights underneath here that'll light up automatically when it turns light, as well as these lights will turn on automatic. There's no switch for any of these lights as far as to turn them on and off manually. They all come on automatically. That's the way this is set up based on the XML. And you could potentially change it if you wanted to put a switch to turn them on manually. I just took the approach of not doing it that way. So these are all auto lights. So these are all the auto lights that turn on. These turn on auto too, as I'm showing in the XML. These will turn on if it's at night, based on that script callback, they'll turn on at night. So that's how that works. So yeah, these are all the individual pieces, cardboard boxes, oil cans, the stuff on the shelves. Some of these are interactable with. You can pick them up. Some of them you can't, and that was kind of by design. Because what I take into consideration when I put some of these pieces together is if they were to be used in a multiplayer environment, a lot of times it's not a good idea to have things flying around, because you will get lag as far as on the server and stuff like that. And you don't need these little parts just flying all over the place. It's bad enough what we got to deal with already as far as the lag and some of the things that we have to deal with equipment and stuff like that. You don't need all, like a tornado went through there, because as far as having all these little parts flying all over the place. So there is somewhat of a discipline that you have to apply, I guess, as far as putting as much as you would want to create these things to be all interactable, to be able to pick them up, your player once you're in the game to pick them up. Not always a good idea. So most of these things here that I've got are not interactable. Some of them do have rigid body, some of them do not. And I could probably show this in the game just to kind of see how this, give you an idea as far as how this thing reacts, just as far as even in a single player environment. But yeah, I got the doors. You can actually open these doors. Triggers on there for that. Kind of a neat little thing there, and I did post pictures, I guess, of this too, just to kind of play homage, I guess, to Route 66. As far as it being a vintage route rate, as far as expressway, going from east to west. They do have one of these similar like that. That was kind of another inspiration for me to build it in this type of fashion. There are gas stations similar to this, maybe a little bit bigger, just like this, out on Route 66. So what I did, I took an address, actually, from one of them, I guess on Route West 66, and I applied it as a decal to this. And I also used, they had a very vintage open and close sign on there, and I was like, oh yeah, I gotta use that. had a really cool picture of that, so I was like, I'm gonna use that. So yeah, there are some aspects in reality that I actually applied to this. And then, oh, I think what I will do, like I said, I was mentioning as far as actually show this, I do have this in a placeable format. I've got this all zipped up to be able to apply that in the game. So it's like understanding this as far as how to zip these files here, you have to go into this, select all, and then use your favorite compression tool of like as far as to, if you've got just the Windows one, just do compress folder, or if you, I like to use 7-zip because it tends to zip it, compress it a little bit better than the standard Windows zip compression tool. But whichever method you want to do that, that's the way you want to do it. So you have your mod folder name, select it all, and then choose your compression. Then it'll create that zip. I've already done that, and then it's here. So then I can put this directly into my mods folder. I think I'll do it now. And we'll show this thing off. Yeah, let's go to my mods folder. I've got a pretty good slew. I got the Dairyland map that I've still been working on. I got version 3 is tentatively still going to be a thing prior to FS22 coming out at the end of the year. November 22nd has been the official date that they've mentioned, that they've posted. Giants Software has put that out there. It's the date of release, and they've got pre-order out right now. Yeah, there's that. So yeah, many things. I'm just going through some of the things that I have put together. I did do an edit, Spline Design Studios edit of the Millennial Shed Pack, Millennial Farm. Can't even remember exactly what I did with that one, to be honest. Many things that I've constructed in here myself too. And again, it just comes down with that creative thing. It's just like it's something you don't see out there. Or just needed to be edited to accommodate, I guess, as far as what I need for my gameplay, I guess, as far as my own personal gameplay in the game. So, yeah, we're going to try out this old gas station and see where to put it. Sort that. Should be all alphabetic, and it's right there. So we should be able to load this up in the game. I'll probably just use a already existing save game. I can do with this one, no problem. Go ahead and close this out. See the construct of that. Ready? Alright, we'll minimize that. Lady did playing some slots. Ooh, almost got it. Yeah, you get the 3 robots there. That's the maximum units of fluid you can get, which is 1,000. Oh, you're just well. Good. Nice. So you're 1 for 2. Oh, you got nothing. 1 for 2, and you scolded him. And, oh yeah, at least you scolded the bot. He's like, okay. There you go. Nice. Very nice. Okay, so let's ensure that I've got all the things I need to load up Farm Simulator 19. Let's load this up here. Make sure that's So prior to the start of the stream, there I had to relog into Steam and all that stuff. So I got to let this wheel. I do normally run a wheel in the game. Not that I'll use that. I'll just use the keyboard, I guess, for what I need to do here. But primarily do use a wheel, which is 27. And I always set this up for the game. I'm gonna do that. I got different button configurations for each game. I don't launch the game through this though. That's what I've come to find. It's better to do it through Steam. Sometimes when you point it, the way Steam updates things sometimes, you almost have to make sure that you're updating as far as what executable you're launching based on Steam. And sometimes it doesn't always catch the, being launched from Steam when I do it through that wheel profile. So I just always like to launch it through. That's just my way of doing it. So let's load up Farm Simulator 19. Hopefully this doesn't cause too much an issue. I did try this out here. I changed some settings on my game. And I need to test it. This is going to be a first time test on while streaming this. This will be a learning experience for me as far as to see. I've been able to load the game without streaming and get pretty decent frames, so let's hope. I found some NVIDIA. So I think we're back. It's like Lady Death is mentioned here. Hopefully anybody else that we had lurking in there. Yeah, I definitely know. And just like I said, I'm sad that it had to find out the hard way like that. I should have probably known. Should have probably have known. Okay. So I guess we won't be going into Farm Sim itself. I was hoping maybe I could show what it looks like. I did show at least the pictures for that stuff, I guess, as far as in its element. You just won't be able to see it, you know, play the game with it there. So we'll leave it at that. There. Probably what I do want to get into a little bit, I guess, with all that being said, is to edit some of these things that I've pointed out, I guess, as far as it has some flaws, like on the vending machine itself, the cola vending machine anyway. Some things I need to look at to see why it's putting that dent. Some of you that were here know what I'm talking about there. There are some things I need to fix on that, it seems. So let's to that. Got to reestablish some stuff I had here. I had to close a lot of things out to see what I couldn't fix, I guess, as far as I was hoping I wouldn't have had to kill the whole stream, I guess, like I did. So alright, so going back into this folder. All back. So bear with me. A few more folks will I get here. So what I want to do, with everything I've already shown, as far as what I can do, I was, like I said, just wanting to show the whole gas station, I guess, in the game. Obviously, that's a no-no. As far as the system that I got here, it's set. Yeah, just that I don't have hardware. Like I said, so this one here, what I want to do, we're gonna load this. I've got the two different Blender files. I got this one. It's an older Blender file, but I'm gonna go by this latest one here as far as what I've done with the model. I'm gonna load this up and kind of show, I guess, as far as the go backwards on, I guess, as far as how this was created. You know, so I've shown it in Giants Editor as far as already done, as far as the construct of each individual components. This is where it comes from, right here. So I can export this model that I've got it created Blender, and like I said, I've gone back between 3ds Max and Blender to do different parts of this. And but ultimately, it does come down to Blender being able to export it out and take advantage of these materials that are available. This is a plugin for Blender, and it's an older version of Blender 2.79, but it's still effective as far as being able to take advantage of the Giants material library. And that's what all this jazz is right here. All these different color mats and the different materials you can apply. I don't typically use all of this here because you can apply these elements here via that fourth value, I guess, as far as what I'm showing in the shader. Right, so you can just keep that at whatever default value that it is, and then you can adjust that right in the shader based on Giants Editor itself. You don't necessarily need to do that, but those settings are all in here if you want to do that. But when you export it out there, it already have that setting once you put the shader onto the model in Giants Editor. So a lot of versatility, I guess. So what I need to look at with this model, again, you can see prior construct over here, and it's got the same, relatively the same construct as it does in Giants Editor, all the different levels. This is main body. Right now it's in edit mode, so I should be able to do this. So that's the main body, and it shows this is the mapping of that color coordinate, I guess, as far as the color matte coordinate. That allows me to use that color matte 0 for it. So that's critical, I guess, to be able to control that component, I guess, with the shader, that location. And that's why I use, another reason why I use Blender, I guess, to export the model from here. And there's a plugin for that too, is on top of the material library. You have a plugin to export the appropriate file format for Giant Editor itself. I spit that out, and it'll give me the same construct of the model based on what I see here in there, and then I can sort it from Giant Editor in that regard. So if I want to apply the different materials, different colors, all that stuff, I can do that once I export it to i3D. So that's what I want to look at. All that being explained, that's really a glaze over, I guess, as far as if there's any additional information that anybody wants about that, feel free to ask, and I'll be more than glad, I guess, to collaborate. But this is going to be like part 2, so I guess this will be part 2, like I said, I guess, as far as Spline Design Studios Saturday. So yeah, I think I've gone, start a little after 7 p.m. my time. Not that I'm in there, I guess, to I like to keep these types of streams, I guess, within a 3-4 hour time block. Wow, it's already after 9. So yeah, we're right about 2 hours actually, so we're probably not too far off on the uptime. It's probably pretty close, because I think, if I remember right, I probably started about 20 after 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I should say Eastern Daylight Time. We're in that time. So yeah, we're not too far off anyway. I'm just taking notes for myself here, I guess, as far as that. Okay, cool. So yeah, we're all good. Alright, so as I was saying, what I want to do is take a look at what's going on, and I'll have to reopen this model just to kind of show you. If you remember, when I showed this earlier, we were having a problem. It was a noticeable problem with it was like a dent, that panel under where the bottle holders. Closer look. Let's do this. Yeah, what's really strange is the fact that when I ran Farm Sim like that, how much it stepped on that. So it's, yeah, it obviously was an overload on the CPU. I mean, it's a strong CPU, don't get me wrong, but the fact that it even allowed me to reboot and get to where I'm at here, that's testament. I just overloaded it. Tried to make it do more than it wanted to do. It's able to do. All it comes down. Yeah. I'm better for it now. So yeah, you can, even without putting a light in the scene here, you can already see how it's putting like a dent. So it's like changing the level poly that's right there. That's this poly right there. For some reason, it's like indenting that, and I'm not sure. I need to figure out why. So I figure if I load this up in here, take a closer look and see what's going on. So this is in edit mode, and I'm currently vertex. Let's try putting faces mode. And let's deselect. This face right here. Oh, I realized that was broke up. This face goes from here all the way around like that, so that's one poly, one face. Alright. So what we need to figure out is why in the world let's apply a little light source to this. Yeah, so right off the bat, and without even adjusting, just bring the light in, you can definitely see it's defining this face right there 100%. So it's almost like this pushing part of it in here. So it's either raising this part, this edge here, or it's pushing that in, one of the two. You need to take a look at the model at this level. Wow, with it. So far, it faces level. See any there. Let's go back to vertex. Now what it should have done, to this face here, and that might be part of the problem, I had to cut into that, create an opening for these bottle holders. That might be part of, oh now with this, let's see if we can turn some items off. So, yeah. I just gotta remember how to do that. There's some things with Blender I'm not 100% versed in. I don't try to claim at all that I know everything about Blender. So as far as being able to turn an element off, I think it's what this. There it is. That's what it was. Okay, it just took me a second to get. There we go. So basically, all I'm trying to do is just isolate some of the things that are around area here. So what that does show is there's cutout in the main body, I guess, as far as to accommodate, you know, being able to. Now this door stays static; it doesn't open or anything like that, but it's supposed to have the appearance that it does. So what did have to happen with this face is a cutout basically for the shape of this door. That's all one piece. Don't see off the bat here, I don't see anything that's vertex level right now. If anything's out of shape here. Definitely doesn't give the appearance this way. Alright, let's look at it from translate. On verts, we should have a vert here. That's at a quarter. Gotta get my bearings in. I want to move it. What the? Oh, I know what I got. I got a squeeze. I know what I'm missing. What that'll do is give me the coordinate. Translate for that vertex. So this one. That's 41 2 from here. So I'm looking at it from this direction to see if maybe it's pushed in comparison to other versions here. That's what that's it. Now we need to see. Now we're getting just in the nitty gritty as far as, like, you know, fine tuning, I guess, operations that you've done. So now that we are aware that this has an anomaly here as far as an artifact in here doing, how do we fix that? What happens in the creative process? I'm sure it's something that I did based on cutting that opening in this face here. Initially I would have started off with just a solid base, and then I took this piece here to basically cut into it. Basically would have transpired. Okay. Yeah, so this is what we're trying to fix, right? That's the main focus. I don't see really any other problem areas besides that. It's very noticeable even in the game, and that's what I was hoping maybe to show. I don't know if I got a screenshot of it. May have taken a screenshot in my. Let's see if I did. Since I can't really go into the game, I guess to show you on stream. I'm gonna run into that problem again. Let's try it this way. Might have taken. And nope, I don't think I do. actually. I just got the ones that I've already shown you. As far as it shows it right there, but it doesn't show. And then there's this. Yep, so it definitely does. It's very distinctive. You can really see it present itself in the game. So you need to fix it. Bottom line. That is not something that is acceptable. Okay, so we know what trying to figure out which approach I want to take for this. Really trying to recompose myself. Alright, so oh wow, what's going on here? Oh, okay, this guy. This piece. Why is there a hole there? Actually, that's a good question. Why is that, the heck? Two polys. Why is there a hole there? Back out. Okay, that doesn't make it. Why is... Huh? That doesn't make sense. Why is there a gap? That's not in those. Wow, that's crazy. Yowza. So yeah, what's happening here? Missing a face. Did I delete something without? Here, let me reload this. We're missing a face on here for some reason. Or, see if I can reload this. Hopefully it's not something I did. I mean, I can fix that, no problem, I don't think, but... Yowza. Okay, let's see. Let me reload this. Alright, let's do an open. It might be just a problem with that particular Blender file. Oh wow. So it's not here, so yeah, something I did wrong. Ouch, that's not good. So something I must have did prior to saving this Blender file here is I must have deleted that face somehow. This face is missing. You can kind of see there's a couple of faces in here that are kind of hanging in the balance here, but the rest of that is all gone. Something got broken there. So let me look at the max file real quick and see. Yeah, let me close this again. I'm gonna open up the max file. It'll be right here. I need to do it this way though. Let's do it this way. Okay, let's give this a second to load up. Yeah, that's not good. I don't know if I might have inadvertently deleted those faces there prior to saving that Blender file. Very possible. That's not something I can fix. So if it does stem, I guess, from the max file, I created OBJ and brought that into Blender. That's what I need to determine here at this point. See what that's what the deal is. Appreciate everybody sticking around, I guess, as far as restarting up the stream here after a little bit of a hiccup there. Alright, so let's load up next scene. So this is what, like I was mentioning before, what I usually like to do is go back and forth between 3ds Max and Blender, and you can do that. In most cases, everything else that I have done doesn't usually seem to cause problems. Okay, let's load. Yeah. All right. Here. It's the cold event and this file. So if it's present here, chances are it's going to be present Blender file. So, oh, this should be good. So this is where I would have applied all the cuts into. Verify and make sure. Main body. Yeah, that face is there, so it's missing for some reason in the Blender file. The only thing that was left was these two little slivers right there. So between this sliver and that sliver, there's only two that was there. So this main chunk here was gone. What I'm gonna do is recollapse this together so I can spit that out and bring that back into Blender. It should already have the materials that I need to it. Double check that. Should have this material applied to it. Okay. Alright, so yeah, it's just a matter of, now that I've confirmed or whatever that face is here as opposed to the Blender file, I can isolate just this main body. Let's make sure there's nothing hidden in it. Oh, my glass. So the glass I've brought into here, and that's got a different property to it to make it transparent as far as translucent. So I've done that separately. But I'm going to bring that all in here, and I'll go like this. Let's go select all, and I want to isolate this and this. Everything else. Perfect. Alright, so now we got the. I'm going to collapse those. And there's an order to this too. You want to select, if I want to maintain the name of this thing after I collapse it as main body, then I need to select this first and then everything. In this case, there's an order to that, and I've mentioned that on these streams plenty of other times. Okay, alright, cool. So go to our hammer, collapse, selected. That's step 9. It's always good to, when you do a collapse like that, regardless of how many, especially if you've got a lot of pieces to collapse, more review, you want to observe the model to make sure, if you see anything happening with the model as far as like crushing polys, you know, any anomalies with the poly, this is where you want to check that out after collapsing it. That seems good. Go ahead, effect the pivot. And now I want to set the X form. Always a good idea. That's a good habit that I've gotten into, to reset the X form, and that's basically just the bounding box of all items, especially after collapsing or reshaping them, as I just done. And just to make sure that that bounding box for the entire thing, and I'll show this here in a second. So if I go reset X form, what we want to see is a tight orange box around all these items that are in this scene here. And as long as we see that, then we know the X form is in good form. That's selected. So here we should see that present here. So yeah, this is what you want to see. You want to see a nice tight box around the entire model based on its extremes. So what it does is it goes by the extremes of the model. The fact that this protrudes here, that bounding box is going to be outward the rest of it. So it's not going to be tight up against the model, but it'll be a nice tight box around the whole thing. This is definitely what you want to see. You see it out of whack or whatever like that, then it needs to be corrected before you go beyond. Alright, so that's good to go. We'll go ahead and collapse that. That's good. So from this point, I can export this out as an OBJ. to our desktop. So it might be a good thing, I guess, as far as that we saw that little anomaly in the Blender file, because now we can fix it based on. This is what's kind of nice with working between 3ds Max like I am and that. I have something to fall back onto. Not that I couldn't fix that right from Blender like I did, but I wanted to see if it did originate from where I brought it from, in this case 3ds Max. If you don't use 3ds Max, you just have to fix it right there from Blender, which can be done. Like I said, it's just a little bit different process in Blender in comparison. Alright, so let's just call this main body. And it doesn't really matter what we call it, just so we know we can find it on our desktop or whatever, so we can import it into it. So if you've got several products going on in a lot of cases like I do, and it's on your desktop, make sure you're naming those things so you can find it easy. I've cleaned up my desktop quite a bit, honestly, I guess, as far as to take some of the clutter. As I've mentioned before, I usually will have this entire desktop in this window is completely full. I have some things going on there, but I've cleaned it up, condensed it down. Some projects are completed, some of them I just, consolidate to whatever. And it's nice to have an, cleaner enough workspace, to do these types of things, because otherwise you can get lost in your own work, I guess, pretty easily. That's an etiquette, I guess, is first to advise yourself. Alright, so let's say export this out as body. We want to save the export materials and the texture coordinates. We want to maintain that UVW mapping. We want to be able to translate that into Blender. We'll export that. It's going to do its thing here and just run. That should be on our desktop. Alrighty then. Let's yep, so here's the OBJ that we just extracted. Now what we can do is open up Blender again, and I'll open up that same Blender file as we did that has the broken or missing face on that. That's fine. Now what we can do is go import OBJ. That's, and point to that OBJ we just created on our desktop right here. I'm gonna bring that. It's already gonna be into place. What's going to happen here now is it's going to create a secondary material. So what we'll have to do, because, and this is normal, when you bring in something that has the same material name, Blender is going to rename it and treat it as a separate material than what you already have in there. So what you want to do is delete that and use one that's already in your model. This here I need to take it out. So also going to go ahead and rename this to, I'll go ahead and do that once I'm done. Once I've got this all, the material onto it, I'm going to take this one out. Now that I confirm our new piece that we just re-imported has that. Oh, actually, that's missing there too. What the heck is going on? So apparently, on import to this thing, it's automatically bringing this out. Interesting. So hold on. Not missing here though. That's weird. Maybe it is missing. I realize it is missing. Oh, it's there. That is super strange. Oh. Yeah, it's definitely in here. I guess I don't understand why it's missing here. So that was obviously a problem upon import of the model into Blender. I'm noticing here. That entire face, with exception to these little slivers here, are gone. So why is that? Good question. And the problem is I need to have cutout in this face here for these openings here for the coin return in that. So that stinks. I need to figure out why is that stepping out that. Let me see if it's flipped or something. Could be a flip normal face. Very possible. figure out what's going on with this. Definitely not flipped. You would see a different, so if I flip this, for example, you see it as a different color, like that. It's definitely not flipped. This means it would be flipped inside out. This is in the right direction. So again, the question becomes, why is it moving that upon export from here and in here? Very good question. I'll be damned. I think what I'm going to try and do, because I can definitely tell from this same model that I've got in here would have been what I exported out here as an i3D from Blender. So this is the result I got here. It's definitely still there, so I don't know if that's just a trick of the eye, I guess, as far as in Blender, but it definitely does appear that that face is missing. Faces are faces. So I am in what edit mode, and faces. It's definitely not there. Definitely not there. That is super strange. I'm learning I'm learning stuff like this all the time, I guess, with Blender. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. It definitely is giving the appearance here that those faces here that go in this area gone, not present. Very strange. So I guess with that being said, I think what I'm going to do is just delete this one out. I still have that OBJ that I saved in the desktop. But yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. Let's take this out. Now we're back to what we had, which is basically the same thing as what I just recorded not too long ago. Really curious now. Let's see. Without changing anything, I know the area that in question here I want to adjust is that polio. Come on. Why is that not working? There we go. Edit mode. Yeah, so this face right there is pretty much what we need to try and adjust. Make sure that it's in the right position. I think what I am going to try and do, just for the heck of it, to show that processor, I should try and export this entire thing out as an i3D. Okay, so let's go export. And we want Giants i3D. And we're going to put this right to the desktop. And I guess we can. Why it's naming it that way? Do it this way. We'll call it end. You don't necessarily need to have the .i3d to it, because the fact that we're in the Giants i3d exporter, it'll automatically apply that as a binary. Export. Right back to that. Cool. That should be desktop. So at least you get to see the process, I guess, as far as from Max to Blender, spit it out as a, and you won't get a shapes file. That's normal. As far as using Giants i3D, this is what they consider to be a binary i3D that won't initially have a shapes file. So you will be able to bring this into Giants editor. You'll get an error for it being binary. That's normal. I'll show that here in a second. So I'm going to bring all of that from Blender, so it's going to have all those pieces from Blender, and bring it into here. Go to the desktop, and Span 3, this is what I just exported from Blender. And it's going to give you that error here for Oh, there's two of them here. So one of them for the logo, which I'm not worried about that. That's for the sign, I don't need that. But the other one here for the warning i3D contains a binary texture, that's normal. Once you save, put your pieces where it needs to go in the scene graph here, and then save it again, that'll go away. And then, because then what you'll want to do is export out as a binary Giants i3D, and then it'll produce that shapes file. Okay. So all I need is this one here, this main body. Okay. Yes, we need to go freeze transfer. One thing it does is it just need to adjust this rotation here. That's something that it'll do from Blender. That's normal as well. I want to apply this just to put the rotation for that. Right now, that's out here. We wanted to get it over here. What we're going to do is I'm just going to do a copy and bring it to our transform here, where we got everything. This is at this translate here, and yeah, I could zero this out if I wanted to. Not really necessary, but if you wanted to, if it had more function to it to where it would be required to put it 0, I want to do that. In this case here, we don't need to. So I'm going to bring that into here. Now we got both main bodies in here. I'm going to hide this one by turning the visibility off. But right now it doesn't have the shader and all that jazz to it. That's why it's going to look like red chromey. That's because of the way I've got it done here in Blender, as far as having red. So until I apply the specular map, specular and the shader to it, it's going to keep it this shiny look to it, and that's normal. But what I want to look to see, does it have that missing face on there? Yes, it does. Hard to tell. It almost looks like it is there. If anything, there might be a little bit of a crack right here, but for the most part it doesn't look like there. Let's go ahead and go through that process here. So it's got that same material name that I put via Blender, but what I'll need to do is apply, at minimum, the default specular, normal, and the shader to it, so I can change the parameters of that model based on the UDIM system there, or the material library. Armson 19. So let's go like this. We're gonna go to shared. Oops, wrong folder. I'm gonna go to data and shared. That's critical. So we got default specular. Okay, so it's gonna change it that way, and then we also want to put the normal map onto it. You really don't have to put the normal onto it. You do, at minimum, like I said, need the default specular as well as the shader in order to be able to change the color and much material for the color and all that stuff. So at bare minimum, I'm just going to go ahead and put the normal on it as well. Now we go down here to shader. Shaders here. This. Shaders, and then we gotta go all the way down to shader. So now the shader's applied, and then also what we'll have to do is apply a color mask as a part of that. So these are all the options that are in that vehicle shader that I just selected. What we're mostly concerned with is color mask, which is a part of that coloring and materials system. And this is the color. When it turns this color, then you know that it's applied properly. It'll turn this by default. And from here, I can adjust that color. So before, I've done this so many times, I kind of know this part now. That, and then add this at 32. There. So with all that applied as the original one was here, now we've got it to that level. So from what I can tell, that face is actually here, even though it seems to be non-present. It's hard to tell. I think it is missing. Wasn't that something? So yeah, we got to figure out why in the world that is deleting itself upon export from 3ds Max, because it's definitely here. That's that face right there. Very peculiar. Make sure that's not inset or anything. If it is inset, we need to fix it. I think it is though. Yeah, so if I look at how it's the... Maybe that is inset. Huh. Damn, so I might not have snapped this particular face in the proper location. Okay, so that might be something I might have to fix here. Okay. Fair enough, so... Yeah. And we got these two little slivers here that we'll have to attach all of that and then attach it together as one piece and then put that in the... I very well may not have put that in the right spot. Because I think this here, that the face that I got selected here, should be flush with this cutout right here. I think that's what we're experiencing here. Okay.